Devils ingressing now. How's the eastern group looking?
Devil 1, we've got you covered. Eastern group is still cold. How far out are they to the target? They're coming up on 10 miles.
All flights, pop-up group, low, 2-ship Fulcrum, tracking northeast.
Devil 1, I don't think they're hearing us, man. They're still pushing in. Alright, keep trying them. Let's join the party. Dark Star, Gypsy is targeting the leakers from the north. Devil, press south. 2 Fulcrums hot.
Dude, are you getting any of that?
Negative 1. 2 Fulcrums hot. Map north.
South, target is destroyed.
Stay in 2 well. Get in there, man.
Missile, break left, break left.
Gypsy 1, we're coming up on you now. We're almost on him. We're almost on him. Get him off him, Gypsy. Get off him. He's gonna fire. He's gonna fire.
Still on him. He's still on him. He's still on him.
Keep kicking, Devil. We're on him now. We're turning him now. Get the sucker off him, man. He's off you, he's off you. Come on, man, let's nail this sucker. Come on, man, do some of the pilot shit. Damn, this guy's good, he's all over the place. Come on, let's get this guy. Oh, we got you now. Come on. I got some. Box 2. Blast! Enemy MiG going down.
Hello and welcome to part 1. And before we actually get into the nuts and bolts, this is the reference material that I'll be using throughout. It is from Daco Publishing and it goes through absolutely everything on the F-14 on all 3 variants, the F-14A, B and D. So, the cockpit. What you'll see here on the instructions from 1 down to the bottom here is where the video will go to, and that will be me building the entire cockpit, the bang seats as you can see here, painting, weathering and finishing off. Now the bang seats are a multi-part affair and they come in 7 different pieces. Nowadays you are seeing ejector seats coming in as a 1-piece or even 3D printed, which I am a big fan of. That is going to be the future, and the detailing on these 3D resin copies is outstanding. But anyway, let's get back to the kit. It is really nicely detailed, and you do get some options, some different options which I have never actually seen before, and that is the fact that the seat harnesses are actually made out of plastic. Now they are fiddly and they can sort of like ping off. However, if you're careful with it and you can place them in and just with a short dab of glue, they do actually bed in quite well, and the detailing is rather good. So Great Wall Hobby, although it is different, it works really well, and once it's all painted up it really does quite, it looks realistic. So with the main cockpit tub then, it's a simple case of just taking everything off the sprue, cleaning it up and start sticking. Now with this you get obviously the rudder pedals, the control column and all the instrument panels, side panels and etc. Now these do fit in really well. There isn't any issues with any fouling or anything else like that. It is a nice simple slot fit with a dab of glue and away you go. Now within the kit you do get a different set of instrument panels. Now I believe you can build the A version for this. Whether I'm right on that, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you can. But anyway, get back to the B. The control bits and all the rest of it for the TIDs and everything is all there. The only thing it is lacking a little bit is the side detail on the side of the fuselage. But once it's all buttoned up, you're not really going to see too much of that particular area. So, glue it in, getting ready, and we can go for priming. Now for priming then, I use a Tamiya acrylic. I don't use a said primer. Now for this I'm using rubber black, and this is going to help me in two ways. The Tamiya acrylic will give me a really nice space for the lacquer paints to adhere to, but also it will allow me to use some shadowing effects actually inside the cockpit. Now I'll be using Hataka's light ghost grey for the cockpit, but in the meantime it was a case of just doing all the jobs of the priming, as in the bang seats, the Rio combing and the instrument panels. Now with all that all done, as in the priming, it was time to have a look at the reference material. Now you get an absolutely inch by inch view of the entire cockpit of the A, B and D. Now as you can see, you've got all different colours. You've got black, brown, red, grey and all entendres, but they're all sort of like different shades, not necessarily a jet black but a very dark grey. Now you can actually manipulate that when you're actually using your aircraft or your light ghost grey for the cockpit. Let me show you. So with the actual paint then, it's light ghost grey and it is from Hataka's, which is the orange lacquer range. Now once it's in the airbrush, all I'm doing is going around certain areas where A is going to be grey, and also making it as patchy as I possibly can without making it look, well, unrealistic. Now this was going to show you how you can sort of like use a shadowing effect in between each of the panels, the dials, the seats, the flooring, the side of the cockpit, everywhere. And it will pay dividends once everything is actually in, because it will give that more dimensional look. And that is really what we're after. We're not just after like a plain solid brick of just plain nothing. This is what we're trying to achieve. So it's nice and patchy, it looks awful, and that is exactly what I'm after. If it looks awful, then you're doing well. So I put the actual cockpit down to dry and I turned my attention to the ejector seats, and by this I was painting the yellow on the actual grab handles, and later on I will be painting the black parts on it to represent the whole thing. Now on to brush painting. Now for this I use an acrylic paint, which is the Vallejo White Top, and they are a said designated acrylic paint for this particular job. Now I use a wet palette with this, and basically what it is a sponge dipped in water with some greaseproof paper on the top, and it is soaked all the way through, and then you can put the paint on and it will last a lot longer. And the best thing about these paints is once you thin them and you're painting them, once it's dry, it doesn't leave any brush marks. So a major plus. So once everything is done and it's all dry, now we can turn our attention to some weathering, or the start of. Now I am just using a light grey from Tomcat, stick it on a said brush and taking most of it off, so you're left with hardly anything on the brush. Then all you're going to do is lightly just go over the black areas and the sort of like grey areas as well, and the actual raised detail will catch the paint and it will adhere to it. And this will actually make it look like that your crew's been in and out, your ground crew's working on it, general wear and tear, you know, day in, day out stuff. So instead of looking like a sort of like grey and black brick, it has some life to it, and that's exactly what we're after. Again, leaving that to dry, it's a simple case now of just masking over what we did with the bang seats, as in covering the actual yellow, and then we can go on and to use a black paint, which was Attacker's Night Black. So once that was dry, and it does dry quite quick, it was a case of just using the Vallejo white top paints again to paint in the actual seat cushions and the seat harnesses. And also I started to use the decals. Although I'm not using all of the decals, I did cut them up and just use the analog dials for the actual kit itself. I'll be using a different method when it comes down to the actual screens, but this I used the MIG Ammo decal fix, so they bedded down to the instrument panels. So again, what we're doing is just making little jobs disappear, and it was a case of just using little black dots of paint over the grab handles just to give it that bit more of a realistic look. Now it's time for oils, and it's my favourite bit. Now I use Aptolung oils. I do have several colours and different shades of browns, blues and blacks and all that kind of stuff, and it is really simple to use. Just pull a little bit in a shot glass, use a thinner, which I use AK Interactive's low odour thinners, making sure it's all nice and thin, and then you just go for it. Getting the oil on the actual brush itself and just dab it on and let the oil take itself where it wants to go. Once you're happy and it actually is flowing quite well, or if it isn't, you just add more thinners. And you just dab it around where you want it to go and just leave it, okay? Don't think it's going to dry and it'll never come off. It will. All you have to do is rehydrate it with some thinners, and away you go. You can take off as much or as little as you wish. Now to take it off then, all you're going to use is a cleanish brush. Dip it into the thinners that you use, which was AK low odour thinners, and just take off as much as you want. It is entirely up to yourself. It is your own sort of like artistic look. Now for me personally, I do like to leave a little bit on, so once it's all buttoned up, you do have that sort of like still a sense of it is being used, as in everyday use. Combat, whether it's been on the flight deck or on an airfield in the Middle East somewhere, it's entirely up to you. So it is your own doing, and you just go for it and enjoy it. So once that was finished then, and I was happy with what I got, It was now a case of just sticking things in and actually gluing them in and sort of like making sure that everything was tight and secure. Now with this little thing here, it is a ultraviolet light or pen and some nail stuff. Yeah, I don't use it on my nails per se, however that's maybe on the weekend, but what I do use this for is I get a little bit of cocktail stick and plop it onto where the LCD screen would be, launch some UV light onto it, and it dries like rock and it is nice and shiny, and that really does make a difference. When you've got a cockpit that is a satin finish and you've got a high gloss finish like that, as soon as you look into the cockpit, you're going to see it straight away. So it is a very good way of simulating your screens in a cockpit. So last things to do is really put into the front instrument panel, pop it in, and just a very quick dab of glue. Now hopefully you'll agree that yeah, it's looking all right. I'm happy with it, and yeah, that's what it's all about. If you're happy with it, then that's all that matters. So then, that is it complete, and onto the actual main build itself. Now I'm hoping you'll join me and on my journey on the actual main build. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on part 2.